yourself, because it's good for your health. And no one is as healthy.
Hello, Weird at Night. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us again on this Twitch stream. I'm Blazinspace, and I wanted to come to you personally, following up on my guarantee to my friend Andy Sells that I would open up all of these mega streams with a hot tub intro. And so thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited. We're going to do this interview with Bradley Laina of Stranger Studios and Vaudeville Etiquette, as well as an interview with Patrick Galactic of Patrick Galactic, and a little show you might know called Weird at Night. So proud of Pat. I mean, we're on episode 68. This is so epic. These double features and the triple feature. I got to give it up to Astral Media Lab for helping us pull this off. It's incredible the amount of work they've been putting in producing these events for us, and I so appreciate you, Carlos, Allison, Carl, Marshall, Mark, and Kirsten, everybody whose heart and souls have been in Astral Media Lab. I thank all of you. I do want to say, holiday season, I know we hear it from Patrick, but I also wanted to tell you that in the Shop of Juan, shopofjuan.com, you can get these nifty Blazinspace hats, you can get Blazinspace shirts. Also, Patrick makes a cool mug for every episode. This one has me and Stardust on it, the Juan Teese Falcon episode. Love this episode. So, since you're all joining us, we are just after the holidays. I wanted to propose a toast. This is some Squirrel peanut butter whiskey that I've been enjoying. Cheers to compassion. We all have an unlimited potential for it in ourselves, and that's not always easy to realize. But I see it in you, and I hope you see it in me. I love you. Cheers. So, this interview is really cool. I get pretty serious with them. I ask them how they feel about race in the music scene, what it's like being white, what responsibilities they feel. I also ask them about marriage, love. We get deep and personal in this interview. Another really cool thing about this interview is they're kind of seeing how the sausage is made, because this interview will become a future episode of The Lab, where we intersplice what you're about to see with live performances from these two. And, we kind of centered around the music and the story of the making of the music. But just because you're so beautiful and you tune into Weird at Night, and we so appreciate our community here at Weird at Night, we want to share the whole interview so you can really get to know these people. It's really cool. And props to Stranger Studios for also being the home of our Gravity remix, which you do not want to miss. The movie starts at 10 p.m. Pacific on December 29th. 10 p.m. Pacific, December 29th. It is going to be epic. Jimmy Jackson, Patrick Galactic, Sandra Bullock, George Clooney, Alfonso Cuarón, his amazing DP editing, the Frame Store special effects team, everybody who worked on that movie. Amazing. So definitely tune in Tuesday at 10. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I love you. Happy whatever holiday stuff you celebrate. Happy you being here, surviving, being alive. I see you. I love you. You up.
Okay. Hello, Weird at Night Universe. I am Blazinspace, and I'm here with Bradley Laina of Stranger Studios and Patrick Galactic of a show called Weird at Night. Mm-hmm. Welcome to you both. I just want to let everyone at home know we're being safe, we're sanitizing, we're washing our hands, we're keeping our distance from each other, and we're all wearing masks. We're going to take our masks off for this interview, and then we're going to put our masks right back on because we're trying to keep each other safe. So don't worry about us, and keep yourself safe as well. So hello, you two.
Hello. Hello.
I'm excited to do this interview right now because I've worked with both of you, and you haven't met before today.
No, yeah, first time.
So that's exciting, and you're familiar with each other's work. So we were just having a conversation with that before we started recording. So I just wanted to return to that. And Bradley, you were saying you had just listened to No Future to Fear, which is Patrick Galactic's latest release. Yeah, and what do you think about it?
I was just basically telling him how awesome I think he is. And I was like, "You're a genius." And honestly, I had heard snippets of the record, but hadn't actually sat with it as an album. And I listened. I drive a lot, probably more than I should. For the egos, for the environment, but I was on a long drive, and it was incredible the way it's laid out, track to track, beautiful vocals, beautiful songwriting, the arrangements are incredible. You know, it's reminiscent of so many amazing artists that I appreciate, David Bowie, everything, you know, within that arena, T-Rex and all kinds of, you know, and then some more beautiful like Radiohead-ish things, and just incredible. Really, really good stuff.
Well, it's good to feel understood, Bradley. Thank
I
you.
understand.
Thank you. I can tell you do. That means a lot. Really. Thank you.
And I know, Patrick, you've listened to Vaudeville Etiquette, or you saw a performance. Maybe was your first exposure.
Well, and then I listened to more after. Yeah, but
and I should mention explicitly, Vaudeville Etiquette is one of Bradley's music projects.
Indeed.
With Vaudeville, what I was just struck by was just the quality of the live performance, and just the musicality, the cool kind of incorporation of like a 60s psych vibe without just being solidly that. It kind of straddled the lines of a number of genres, but it was so easy to connect with. Your I'm sorry, what's her name? Taylor, yeah. Yeah, her presence is incredible. Your presence is incredible. And just being able to watch music for exactly what it is, not judging it against like, well, this is a great fit for this, or this is a great fit for that, and just going, this is great fucking art. Vaudeville Etiquette is great fucking art.
Wow.
And I love what you guys are doing. And
Thanks, man.
It's so awesome to meet you today and like kind of like realize that we're really pretty similar people. And
Even with the beards?
even with
Like,
the
I feel
beard,
like-
it's disgusting.
Maybe we
honestly.
could like, can we face swap these in post?
Oh, it'll
we
be
just-
really easy for a computer to do
Yes,
that.
yes. You have no idea what you're asking.
Just like throw some glasses on.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, and you won't even know when it'll be happening. You'll be playing another live stream, and Pat's face will be dancing behind you.
I love it.
I'm so glad we started this conversation at that point, because it's an interesting like pin in the story arc of where we are today, and here to talk about, you know, Patrick, of course I want to talk to you about Weird at Night. Just that's what's going on right now. And Bradley, we're in Stranger Studios, so I want to give, you know, credit to the space that this is. And I wanted to ask some questions about that in terms of being a musician and now being, you know, your relationship with being a musician versus being a sound engineer with being a sound producer.
It's oddly schizophrenic in a way, in a good way, I suppose, because I think, you know, we were talking earlier, and there was some conversation earlier about the many facets of one's personality and life in general, and so Strange Earth it's been really fortunate because it's a place where I can exercise a lot of those different facets of who I am. So there's the engineer and producer side, which kind of go hand in hand, and then there's also the musician side. So I've been producing some of my own projects up and coming and past from Strange Earth, and then also doing things like film score and commercial music and all kinds of random things. So yeah, I mean, it's a space that fortunately has allowed myself and others, I've been able to open it up to, you know, people like yourself and production companies and all kinds of things doing videos, to use it as a creative space and open it up to the community a lot more. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I love that energy. I mean, and I think like I've always gotten that energy working with you collaboratively of like, let's just make the art better. You know, like I trust you. Let's do. You know, there's a very positive spin to it that makes it like, for me, feels like a safe place to create, you know?
Yeah.
And I also know there's like some cool history here, right? Like, isn't this the last studio Soundgarden recorded in?
Yeah.
Before Chris died. That
Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a trip. The owner, one of the owners, a guy named Matt Vandenberg, also known as Vern, he's been around the scene for many years. He's a drummer himself and guitar player and awesome guy, awesome musician. He has been tied into the sort of Seattle grunge music scene for a long time in the Seattle psych rock scene. So through that, we've been fortunate enough to have bands in here such as Soundgarden, members of the Screaming Trees, REM, just like crazy legend people. That's been really, incredible and kind of a dream come true for me personally, because I was just like, what? Oh, okay. Soundgarden's in here? Cool. But so the story of Soundgarden being...
Now, when Soundgarden was in here, because you were saying you were like, whoa, this is Soundgarden. Is that like pre-post Grammy for you?
That was pre.
So because I'm like thinking of like, where's your confidence level if it's not Soundgarden and Soundgarden comes in,
yeah. I mean,
were you still just, you were feeling new in general to all?
Yeah.
of this?
So basically, the first time I came into the studio, Soundgarden had been rehearsing here for their next record and their next tour. And the tape was still on the board that you're sitting next to right here. I don't think it's on camera, but it's right there. And they were using it to do, their live PA sound. And I look on the board and it's like Chris, Kim, the whole band was there on the tape. And it just kind of, I don't know, for me, that was a big moment because, they're heroes of mine.
Mine too.
And, Super Unknown, Bad Motorfinger, incredible records. And so that was a pretty huge moment to know like they were in here. And it's kind of an interesting thing to me that this was one of the last spaces that they collectively recorded in before Chris's passing. And which is kind of cool. Like I hope that some of that good energy that surrounds them still is still here. And some of the members have been in since then. We've recorded with Kim, the guitar player, Kim Thayul, and it's a good memory for them, which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that space providing it. How does that make you feel, Pat? You're like fanboying out over there.
You have to understand that for me, Soundgarden was the one. There was Nirvana and Soundgarden basically as kind of out of the Seattle quartet. Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden. Nirvana and Soundgarden were my two. And I would hazard to say that after I got past like 16, I would say Soundgarden was really like still my thing.
And you're from here.
And I'm from here.
So this is like your hometown hero.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So Chris Cornell, more specifically as a singer, probably like my Robert Plant, the guy that, and I'm not talking Audio Slave Chris Cornell. I'm not talking, which is
also good.
Which is great. Great singer no matter what band he's in. But he's kind of doing that bluesy growl stuff that he does so easily, kind of.
Sure.
But like Euphoria Morning, listening to those records where Chris really stretched his voice and stretched. Guy was just so inspiring to me. I saw him on that tour at so to know that you met him makes me feel like we accomplished something because you seem to love Soundgarden the way I do.
Yeah, well, I have to. So I have to admit, I never actually met Chris.
Okay, that's cool.
I've met Ben. I've met all the other members. Essentially, I've been lucky to, but never got to meet Chris.
Okay.
I get to sense Chris's presence.
He was in this room. Near or on the same day as you.
Tape, it makes it real.
It does. It does.
It was, but so that's something I never got to experience was to see them play live. I never got to.
Right.
So that's huge.
So Brad and I were talking before the show, before we started taping.
Cheaters.
Yeah,
Cheaters.
I know.
These two,
I know. You
let
get two
me
people.
Tell you, these two were talking up a storm, and I was like, Let's get them on the mics.
Yeah, yeah.
And Blazinspace took me like what 2 seconds to settle this.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Pro.
Yeah.
Total pro.
Brad and I,
Pro.
we didn't
Coffee.
say another word to each other the whole time.
No.
No, but
So while you were cheating on the interview and talking before,
when we were
what
cheating
you
before,
saying?
I was telling Brad, we were talking about our mutual experiences meeting Kim Thiel.
Yeah.
And how different they were. But I was telling Brad how just I thought when you think of the full circleness of this for me, even right now, the Screaming Trees, I saw them open for Soundgarden at Memorial Stadium in 1994 on the Super Unknown tour. It was like the coolest thing that had ever happened to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. I now host a show where one of the Connor brothers is sending me his music to share on my show. Mm-hmm. And now I'm sitting in another of the Connor brothers fucking studio right now talking to you about Soundgarden, who recorded here.
Yeah.
Or rehearsed here or whatever. And so to me, my life is really just like a bunch of like, are you fucking kidding me? Like my life is a bunch of, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Because on the fanboy level, it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so cool is like 14-year-old, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but 14-year-old Patrick would drastically approve of 40-year-old Patrick. And maybe nobody else would, but 14-year-old
That's all
Patrick
that
would think it
matters
was
in a
cool.
way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all have that version of ourselves coming back to our like teenage self, you know, and would they think you were like cool or would they, you know, there've definitely been points in my life where I was like, at this point, I would be like, you need to
Yeah.
this tattoo about you. Jesus would not be down with this. No, it's cool. I love hearing you talk about like the nostalgia-ness of that because I feel that with like almost anybody I collaborate with. I feel that all the time. I mean, of course, obviously, I'm like a music fan who gets to collaborate with musicians, so I get that all. I'm like such a fan, and then I get to do visuals for that. So I'm always in that geek out, but concentrate, get it done moment. So, who are just some of your favorite like people and influencers to collab with now? Just creators that you know play with, jam with. I know you got a maybe a project with Dune that's a little more synth wavy.
Yeah. So during
Not to put a genre on it before.
No,
I'm
we
like,
don't- we
let
don't
me
even know.
name what I'm asking you about.
I like
Just
that. I like that,
whatever
'cause
it is.
we have no idea what it
the
is.
cool
yet.
noise that's.
So during the pandemic, thus far, I actually had the, you have the inclination to be like, I got to use all this free time. I have all this free time. I got to get creative. So it was a beautiful thing because I started so many projects and got involved with so many new remote recording things, but I also sort of I got overzealous about it and spread myself really thin. But maybe that's a good thing because I started several new projects. One of which is it's called Lightning Cages, and it's with Dune Butler, who is from General Mojo's, an incredible band that you guys should feature someday because they're just so awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool, like psych throwback, but kind of like Tame Impala, a little bit of The Who, and it's super good. And so Dune is a bass player, and he's involved with General Mojo's and Cosmic Shuffle and a bunch of other things, and just an incredible musician, incredible mind. And so him, and then two other members of Vaudeville Etiquette, Matt Teskey, he's the pedal steel player in Vaudeville Etiquette, but in Lightning Cages he is the synth player.
Oh, cool.
And he's kind of like a closeted synth player. Like in vaudeville, we are primarily an Americana jam-ish sort of band, with some psych. It's like Americana psych roots. So everybody just thinks, Matt Teskey, he's a pedal steel guy. But you go into his basement in his house, and it's like synths stacked to the wall, like vintage synths, like the Prophet.
I love that.
And
That's
like
so cool.
the little fatty and the sub 34 and all this stuff, and just Moog stuff.
Isn't that the best when you meet somebody in one musical sense? Like I think of Andy Sells. I met he was playing jazz,
Yeah.
And so I immediately, this jazz drummer and his posture's great, and things. And like his house, you're at full of synths and electronic equipment, and he's into all this stuff. Yeah.
And
I love
there's so
that.
many angles to everyone, like, and it's always that way. It's like somebody might see your show and be like, oh, well, this guy's a host of a show and he's a producer. That's cool. But then you hear the record and you're like, oh my God, this guy's an amazing musician too. That's incredible. And so everybody has those different facets. But yeah, so, Matt Teskey, the closeted synth guy.
Was that the moment that you were like, we have to make some synth music? When
Essentially,
you saw that?
Essentially, he started the first song we wrote together as Lightning Cages. He just played. He was like, I came up with this lick, and that's my impression of Matt Teskey, which he knows, he appreciates it. Check out this lick; it's pretty cool. And so he does the lick, and we started writing this song, and so as of right now, we have about 4 or 5 songs. We'll probably be finally getting together, hopefully within the coming few months of this year. And we're going to release at the very least an EP, if not a full record, and hopefully collaborate with some amazing artists like yourselves. And so that's one of the new projects on the horizon that I'm really excited about because of the fact that like vaudeville, we were more based in the songwriting part of things, the storytelling and performance part, and we touched on the psych, but I really want to dip into the psych and the artistry of it and the grandiose nature of the music, more in the vein of like Pink Floyd or the Moody Blues or My Morning Jacket, or where it's just really a giant universe of sound.
Just really play with the production and how far you can go.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, it's cool too because like I've seen you perform a few times and I know how talented you are, so it's like anytime someone starts a project that's like, we're just opening it up, I'm like, open it, like blow my mind. I'm excited for that.
We're gonna try.
So Patrick, it must be kind of a little weird and mind-blowing 8 months into the pandemic, looking back at Patrick 8 months ago, pre-pandemic, and now you host Weird at Night. Does that Patrick see himself as like the host of like a comedy art share satire, sometimes like bringing people like me in to be in a wrestling ring and act like they're speaking truth to power, and like it's a great source for people to express themselves, and like you made a stage. Did you see yourself that way?
No. I'll be honest, I think the last 5 years of trying to make it in the music industry, there's been a part of me that started to feel more conflicted and more like maybe I just noticed things that became important to me as I got older that weren't as important to me as a younger person. But I think I started to realize I felt kind of stifled by trying to be a professional musician because I felt like I was only really showing people about 10% of myself. And keeping in mind I'm a solo artist, so
I think a lot of creative people who play instruments, whether they call themselves musicians or not, that's so at the heart of a lot.
It is. Well, and I think it's really hard to let your authentic self come through when you see so many other people trying to play it cool all the time, and they're the ones that are getting the kind of attention that you want. So subconsciously on some level you feel like, oh, I need to do more of that, or I need to do more of this. And I think what I've arrived at now 8 months later is that I wasn't happy. I was burnt out, and I was resenting the industry. And I had never allowed myself to take a break in 25 years. It's just, and if you're not working on that, you're failing. And if if you really cared, you'd go home and send out that press release tonight. Black and white.
Sometimes that's tricky because sometimes that's positively motivating.
It can be.
I mean, I've even seen it with, I've done it where, oh no, I'm going to buy that many more DVDs, and I'm going to, and even if you don't make money at the end, and maybe years later you look back and go, oh, that was so silly that I worried so much about that. but it's a weird thing. You convince yourself it's a positive motivation to be giving into the business of show business,
Well, and I think
because part of the way it is, there's a sort of self gratification or validification that like I'm doing these things just like the other people who got to success did.
Well, and you can kind of fall into the trap, of using social media to judge how hard everybody else is working, which is a really stupid thing to do, but you don't know that. And so, unfortunately for me, I think Facebook particularly became kind of a toxic place for more than just the political stuff. It was just the constant comparison and the constant like blah, blah, blah got covered by this blog. They didn't cover me, and somehow that's an indictment of me or my project or my music. So I think the truth is that I was just very discombobulated and turned around about who I was anymore and who I wanted to be in the music industry. And when the pandemic happened, the big ugly secret for me is it was a huge relief. It was like, I don't have to do this right now.
Yeah, it was like the situation gave you permission
to
not try.
And nobody else could either.
Right.
And so the jealousy and the oh shit, I got to keep up with everybody's stuff was gone for the first time ever in my whole life. And I had entertained the idea of doing a Twitch thing before. My roommate actually had been all over me about it, but for my music. But I was going and watching other people's Twitch streams and feeling like, how often can I do this and be compelling? How many people are going to watch this regularly, And so
that's how I feel when I watch Fortnite.
I do too. I do too. Twitch, it's not like repetition is necessarily bad on Twitch, right? Yeah. But am I going to be satisfied doing this? How do I make Patrick Galactic this musical brand kind of that I've made? How does that get represented on this thing? That was too difficult for me to figure out. There's too much of me in that. And so I look at Weird at Night as like I made a band. So now I'm a part of a band instead of the face of the thing. You, I, so many other people.
I think even when you were doing it on your own, that the idea was that the other side of what you're doing is the audience.
Yes.
And the chat. So right from the beginning, it was a band.
Yeah.
Because even at the beginning, because it was weird. You started it at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea was, at the beginning of the pandemic. And I love what you said about like, it was actually a relief for you. Because it makes me think if we gathered as a people, were honest with each other and did all the right things, COVID could have been this fairy tale of how we relearned who we are. And, unfortunately, a lot of us aren't those people. But I'm glad you're a great person. I'm glad you had that liberation.
I did.
But yeah, when we first started, it was like it was about having a place to be because we're all up in the middle of the night having an anxiety attack. I was just like watching. If I came home from a protest, I'd be watching protest footage till like 4 a.m. And so Weird at Night was like, hey, maybe take a break from that. Maybe take a break from COVID numbers and just, you're reading telephone book manuals at the beginning of it, and some of the original characters like Steve Germany started out of that phase of Weird at Night. So I think it's cool. It's so cool that naturally that feeling of I'm going to need others to do this actually brought other people in.
It did.
Just by you sending that out.
Well, and the part of Weird at Night that I think is so interesting to me is that I had an aptitude for it without ever knowing that. Like without ever realizing that I was naturally inclined in these ways. I've progressed through this 25-year odyssey of the music industry and totally ignored all that stuff about myself. And now I have this vehicle where Weird at Night, I get to share other people's art. I get to share other people's music. I intentionally can make myself not the focus, which in my case is good, healthy stuff. And I get to be kind of crass and underground and absurd, which I fucking love. And I think there isn't enough of that in the world right now. And absurdity, oftentimes when you're surrounded by these circumstances that don't make any sense, absurdity is this great outlet for that.
Yeah.
And so watching people embrace that and then feel like connected to it is like, whoa, there's so much more acceptance for me than I ever thought.
That's super cool.
And so being my true, authentic, full 100% self, and then meeting you today in person and having you go, I fucking love your show. that is like the greatest feeling. It's such a better feeling than somebody going, here's $1,000. You know, I mean, like that would be great too, but you know, but
So what you're really saying here is
pretty cool.
Brad owes you $1,000.
Brad owes me $1,000 basically.
Wait a
for
second.
helping us out with the studio today.
This is musician logic. It makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Thanks so much. It's been so great collaborating. Here's an invoice.
Here's the invoice for it. But yeah, I think that is a cool thing to hear, because that's how I felt when I saw you guys doing Weird at Night, because I was feeling so inundated, not only with the happenings in the world, and I was doing the same thing. I was like doom scrolling. I was watching all the protests. I was, you know, my wife and I were up at night just like debating and talking about these things and trying to figure out how we could help and all this stuff. And it was so intense. And so there was that side of it, but then there was also the side of like, everybody's still trying to be so fucking hip online. Like, you know, I know it's a pandemic, but like, you know, look at my new outfit or whatever it is, you know, like look
So
at
you
this.
go to release, and where you naturally go to release is like, hey, I want to sell you this thing. And you're like, can you just distract me though?
Yeah. Or like, look
Yeah.
how cool I am or whatever it is. And that's fine. You know, I'm not judging anyone for what they do. It's cool. But to see this show that was so freeform and you know, I was using the term like non sequitur, kind of it's non-linear, and it just sort of like has all these little avenues that you go down, and then all of a sudden you're over here and woo, pickaboo. And it's, you know, it's like I love those kinds of things. You know, I love Terry Gilliam movies. I love we were talking about Syphil and Ollie, which was an old MTV show with sock puppets, if anybody's ever seen that. And, you know, just like super weird shit. I love it. And so, and not only are you doing weird shit, but you're also supporting the community now. And you're at this point where you've sort of got this momentum and this, you know, it's not really formatted, but you have some things that you're now touching on. You have some characters and some scenarios and storylines, and you're supporting the community of musicians by, you know, announcing album releases and all kinds of stuff. So it's just really, it's refreshing to see someone that's doing something like that, not only to fulfill themselves in a way, but also it really is like, you're doing a service. You're doing the service to the community. Both, you know,
That's
both of
what's
you.
cool
like
when you
it's,
feel
know,
like, I feel like when any artist fits themselves, like finds their place in the cacophony of voices that like anyone could get help from, but you're unique enough that no matter who hears you, it's you. You know, someone might not like Blazinspace, but it's Blazinspace. You know, and I'm not even saying that I've distilled my art down to there. I'm chasing that, but I think there, you know, some like Jeff Tweedy of Wilco, somebody I view at who like he hits that enough that like I get him millions of miles away, and there's something to that feels that becomes like a service, that you're in service of that position that you just found your place in.
Yeah, and it's incredible because Jeff Tweedy in particular, it's like I'm sure his art clearly is he's said his art is catharsis. It's how he copes with his feelings and the world around him and things like we all kind of do in certain ways. But his art also is a service because when I listen to those songs, you know, it hits me personally in a certain way, and it allows me to empathize with his position and his perspective. And I go, you know, it's like having a conversation with that person. It's like I feel you, Jeff. Tell me
it's
more.
also kind of like a humanity validator, you know?
Like you're not alone.
I think any artist, especially musical artists, hit me like that very strongly. You know, like I think like we were talking about like DeQueen and Terry Monstrosity are two people that come to mind recently who just I'm like almost like laughing out loud while I'm listening to the Queen rap because I'm like, oh, like I can't be as witty as you, but this is my wit in my head.
Yeah, of course.
Get this,
Yeah.
you know,
You're
and
as smart as I think I am in my best moments.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think between
Yeah.
your two
Yeah.
musical projects, that's why I see like I knew you two would get along so well. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's there is like I play in those playgrounds, but I'm not just that. You know, it is a unique voice, and I think there's enough just like content like this that's like artists talk about art that we all start to feel anonymous. But
Yeah.
like, you're not. Like,
Right.
You're both fucking you're stars to me. Like,
Thank you.
Thanks.
you.
Likewise.
Likewise. Yeah, absolutely.
well, I'm glad we're going into this territory because I think it's super interesting to talk about relationships out loud. It's just very interesting. And you know, you and Tal have been together for a long time, and I don't think I've gone more than 4 years. I've been engaged before. And I've had multiple longer relationships, but like I'm always so interested to hear about marriages and how, and when it's so fresh, I'm just like, wow, Dave, you have a trick in your toolkit that I don't have yet, you know, or I, you know, met that person or something like that.
I can't say that I know what the secret is, but I think we were lucky enough to both be like-minded enough. We're individuals. We have our own desires and whatever, but we're always able to communicate and meet somewhere in the middle that somehow satisfies both of our needs in some way without sacrificing too much. So I think that we're good negotiators, and we're also both very empathetic to each other's situations. So like you were saying, like she's incredibly empathetic. I would say like 80-90% of the time she understands my workaholic nature, my need to be creative and practice artistry and get involved in new things. And when it's too much for her, she lets me know that too. And she'll be like, "Hey, it's too much. I need some time. I need you to slow down for a minute." And at that point, I don't take that as a like, you're trying to hold me back. I go, "All right, you're telling me what you need, and I'm gonna make that happen because you've given me like all this leeway." So I would be like a total dick if I didn't.
Well, it's also like
give you something.
that's trust, because you also
Yeah.
know like that's not a permanent comeback. You know, because I've
Yeah.
experienced that where it's like I need you for just a little bit longer, but what that person I'm with means is I just need you more all the time, and this isn't going to work out.
Exactly.
And that's just like a conversation that gets had for like a year till the end of that.
Yeah.
in
Well,
my case.
I think that is very common to end up in that situation where it's like, what I really just need is more of you. And you're like, yeah, but that can't happen on a full-time basis because even I don't have me that much. But
Yeah, you're giving yourself
I mean,
to other things.
I'm out there, baby. So it's I'm not just sitting here not giving myself to you. I am out there.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
it's I think that I mean it's amazing to me when you're in a situation like that because I've certainly had my fair share of that fight where it's like it just seems like you're never here, and it's like I'm not. I know.
Yeah, well,
I
and that
am-
kind of resignation about it is where
yeah. That's when it gets hard. So there has to be,
Yes.
in my experience, there's some compromise in there of, fulfilling each other's needs and she has a lot of things and desires and occupations that are sometimes difficult for me to take in, and I'm like, I don't know about this, but then I realize, all right, well, there's always that give and take, and so I'm always willing to give as much as possible on that end. So I don't know, that may or may not be the secret. It's worked for us so far. We're also both pretty odd, sort of like shut in kind of people, so that works out really well for us. We like to sleep in late, we like to stay up late. It's just all around a good situation.
That's great.
We like macaroni and cheese.
Fuck yeah.
I love it. Yeah, no, it seems to be good for the art life too. I was gonna say I was curious about how that crosses over into like art you make. Like Pat, do you find that like I know we've like Running from the Sun sort of happens like solo record after the band breaks up, some relationship stuff in the band.
That entire
How do you
record
feel, yeah, that like that art love relationship connection, because for some people it's like so about it, and some people it's like I don't know how to put it there. Like with visuals, right? People don't know if I'm like, oh fuck you, like they're not.
I'm seeing some
It's a
real
little
relationship trauma visuals from Blazinspace.
right? For me, more the last great breakup I went to, I was like, thank God I have a gig, and I was just the most depressed motherfucker at the gig, but the visuals were pretty.
Yeah.
So that was my.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I learned with myself is that I'm a processor. I take some time with stuff. So like whatever I'm listening to today is not the thing that's influencing me today. It'll be the thing that's influencing me 2 weeks from now. So I don't know why that is, but everything kind of comes out on a delay for me. And so, you know, going through a big breakup or going through a divorce or something like that, you know, I think those songs were really written a little after those same actions were happening, because I am just somebody who needs a lot of processing space before I'm ready to say anything.
I really resonate with that, because my problem, I've always, like when I was growing up, my younger sister was like, I was kind of into like Metallica, maybe Godsmack, maybe System of the Down then. And my sister was getting into like the next wave of those bands that I thought were much worse. And now I don't listen to most of that music, but you know, like the 3 Days Graces, where it's just, I hate everything about you. And that's the whole song.
Yeah.
And I remember having this like very clear thought when I heard my sister listening to that song, and she hadn't been through anything yet, right? So she's listening to this, and it's like a relationship. I hate you. And I've been through a breakup at this point. She doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think this is written by somebody who just didn't like think, they wrote it like right then.
Yes. They wrote it the minute they were in that
I
feeling.
hate you. And I'm like, I don't get as much out of that as 6 months later, you're like, oh my God, I was two people at once. That idea, that I can get a lot out of that idea. And I think that idea can connect. People listen to Running from the Sun and don't think this is a divorce album.
Right.
It's
right.
whatever the loneliness was to them, or the self-doubt, you know?
Right. Well, and I think a lot of times when, you know, and I step on this all the time. I try not to talk about, like, tell people what my songs are about. Like, this is about this. Because I am a big believer in the interpretive nature of art. Like, you're not wrong for having a different explanation for what my song is. You're not wrong. That's just yours. That's what it made sense to you. Thank God it made sense to you. But I don't want to ruin that for you either. So when somebody even like repeats my lyrics back to me and one word's wrong, I don't correct them. Because I'm like, you know what? If you think that's what the word is, that's what the word is. And that's fine. Because if that's what means something to you, I still did my job.
Sure.
You know? And so even, you know,
well, and to them, you did sing that and they did hear that.
It's totally
and
real.
So if you don't undo it, it did happen.
And what is the point of me correcting that person and going, no, you don't properly understand my art, sir? It's like, no, you know what? You added yourself to it. Thank you. Thank you. Now the piece is complete. You know? So there's me and there's you. Bam.
Bam.
I think that's why it makes sense to me that you do Weird at Night, because there is that I need you audience. That this culture seems to have produced certain performers who are like, I'm just performing because performing's what I do. And without that want to like participate in the audience and to also accept that you're an audience member when you're not performing is a humility I kind of need in an artist I'm going to get deep in.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know,
not necessarily. There's certain people who are just so something. It just blows me away, and I enjoy that.
Oh yeah.
You know. There's a level of showing off in show business that's like, I'm welcome. You know, like.
Right. If you can do that, good for, like, I'll stand here and bask in it. Sure. But I also think, you know, the pandemic shook me loose of just a lot of failed ideologies that have percolated in my brain for a long time, making me feel like music is this capitalistic rush to be successful. And now I am not littered with that anymore. Like, it is gone. It is like, I make art that I love. I present art that I love. I have a fucking crack smoking pink cloud that co-hosts my show with me, and a shoe detective who is stuck in reality but is from a fictional land. And Blazinspace is a character on the show that is stuck in the fictional land that the fictional character left.
Hey,
so
could we have the pink cloud come in right now? Oh shit! It's the pink cloud.
Pink cloud.
Oh man! Hey, we're doing an interview right now.
I mean, you know,
I don't just show up whenever you fucking idiots tell me to. You all have been shooting shitty chemicals into the sky and getting me super pissed. And now you think it's cute to fuck with me? Well, guess what? Fuck you. I got rocks to smoke and revenge to plot. If you wake up tomorrow and you're still alive, something went wrong. Later, losers.
Okay, go smoke some crack.
Yeah. Let's, wait,
we don't want them to hear that and then come back.
Yeah,
that's true.
We don't have any. We don't have any. Someone who does have crack, give it to the club.
So a couple last, unless, you know, if there's something you want to say, say it. But I think I'm curious, like, what music you play when you're by yourselves. Just what's your craft noise making rituals, you know?
Mine's kind of sad. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on mood, but sometimes it'll just be, you know, your standard acoustic folk. I actually like the thing that's most satisfying to me for the most part is I'll just play acoustic guitar and just sing gibberish lyrics over it and get melodies and things. And I probably have, you know, 200 voice memos of like song starters, song seeds that I just haven't had time or inclination to make into things. But it's cool because they're all there, and they're almost like they're already songs, but they're just like these tiny little baby seedling songs. And so that's really satisfying. But then in a different mood, sometimes if I'm in here, I'll throw, this is going to be weird, but I'll throw on some Fish because I'm a huge Fish head.
Okay.
There, I said it. I said it.
I got 3 Wilco tattoos. If you don't like Wilco, you can dish on Blaze.
I don't care what anybody says.
On it. Just
people don't understand Fish. It's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
But they're fucking amazing. And so I like throwing on some Fish or some Grateful Dead, and I just like play along to it. And I've actually learned a lot over the years by just jamming with that stuff, because you learn about flow and you learn about the interaction and the interplay between instruments and things. So yeah, it's usually one or the other of that sort of thing. Sometimes, you know, I'll learn covers or whatever, but yeah, that's about it.
awesome.
So yeah.
It's interesting. This year, I have just been the biggest fan of scores and soundtracks and instrumental music generally, because I'm often in some thought that I need to get something done, but I want something to kind of keep the wheels turning, you know? And I've taken a lot of influence from it. I haven't written a bunch this year. So to me, the big kind of like mystery reveal, even to me, it's like, what have I gathered underneath the surface this past year, right? So I think for me, what I do in my spare time now is like, I'll listen to lo-fi hip hop on Spotify or whatever, and I'll sing over the top of it because it's such different music than what I make that it pushes me to think differently.
I do that with visual stuff.
Yeah.
I look at stuff that I can't do or that's not my
thing,
that
I don't do or
it's
whatever.
Just like Dax Norman just blows my mind in a way that makes me want to make mind-blowing things of my own. You know?
Yeah, and
So
it's
I get
just
that.
an appreciation for the thing, and then how do I appreciate that thing in my thing, you know? And so like I have like whole songs that I've written to other people's beats and stuff that I just like those beats a lot. And so that's something I like to do a lot. I go through these periods with my acoustic guitar because I play acoustically live. The acoustic guitar sometimes is really stifling to me. I'm just like, God, I'm bored of you. Get out of here. Gibson Hummingbird, beautiful guitar. Fuck you. And
maybe there's a year or a phase to the, you know, like I remember maybe when we first, maybe this is like 2013-ish Sonic Fest.
I loved
in
playing
the morning,
acoustic.
you know, woke up or I hung over in the morning and Pat's just like playing every song under the sun for us.
Yeah.
the
Lou
acoustic
Reed
guitar
died.
days.
Lou Reed died while we were all together.
Yeah.
And that next morning we were playing Velvet Underground songs and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it was, and right, the acoustic was my break from the electronica crazy shit we were doing. So the acoustic, when it became my main thing, now is a pain in the ass.
Right.
So when it's just me right now, if I'm just fucking around, I just love to set up my MIDI keyboard and just make weird beats and weird instrumental music right now. I don't even like what I make most of the time, but that's kind of cool. It's like, no, it's garbage, but it's different garbage, you know? And it's like, in a year from now, it won't be, you know?
Or just you hit something in the sifting through
And
the mess.
that stuff happens all the time because you write differently on different mediums.
Yep.
It's still you, but you're writing completely differently. Like for, so one of the other projects that I'm side working on, which is more of a solo thing, it's called Azure Window. And it is this amalgamation of things. But there was a song that I did that whole thing. I just kind of like jammed out, but I did it on piano and I made a voice memo 10 years ago. And then so for this project, I put it together into a full song. And it's now one of my favorite songs on that record. And I'm still kind of like, you know, fleshing out the lyrics and things to it. But sonically speaking, it's just like, I'm like, this is what I want to be doing right now. But it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was some just little stupid thing that I, you know, barfed out on the voice
right
memo.
in 15 seconds or whatever.
Yeah. So all these things that you're just like tinkering with, as long as you keep them somewhere and they're crystallized, you know, there's time for them to grow sometimes, and you never know what it'll become.
Yeah,
So-
like put some healthy doubts in the idea that you're going to be able to contrive the best thing.
Yeah.
When you just get that surprise, or like on Weird at Night, I'll show old films that I made 10 years ago that for years I've just thought like, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it, it's not this, it's too quiet. Then I'm re-showing it, I'm like, I still dig this.
Yeah, and now it's
There's-
part of the Blazinspace story too, so it's recontextualized and seen through these different eyes too.
Well, and I know you've experienced this as musicians too, the way art dies after a few years go by. You know, just like great pieces of art that the algorithms are just going to ignore now because they're not new anymore. And they're on YouTube because no one's watching. It's hard to search for random short film I don't know the title of.
Right,
How are you gonna
right.
get anything from that? So there's no that sort of where you would go to a place and be randomly presented to things isn't available in many places online other than places like Weird at Night.
Well, and us showing musical performances from 2016 from Theoretics or something, how is it any less valid today than it was in 2016?
Yeah,
you know,
it's
but
history. It's our history.
I see a bunch of people like look at that and they're like, why would I want to watch something from 2000? There are people who automatically think that way, and it's just like, yeah, but it's the same. It's the same.
If you think that way, but then you still go to like a museum or a statue and you're in awe, I think there's a little bit of a thing. And I'm not like harsh judgment. Just let's take your two thoughts.
Some dissonance
come
there.
on
yeah.
here. That's our history from just 3 years ago.
From
we
just
can care about
3
it.
years ago. And I think though, when you have a culture that's like a pop star is a 3-month commitment. You know, a breakout, huge major label artist, it's going to change the face of culture is a 2-year cycle. You know, I mean, it's everything is so temporary now. And so I think they're like, oh, it's from a month ago? You know, it's like
we're showing streams that we did at the beginning of the pandemic, but the audience, your audience, didn't see them when we were doing it. I think even some of you weren't doing Weird at Night yet. It was just me and Astral Media Lab. Even like some of the vaudeville stuff that like it's cool to bring people back to
it. Is.
These silly heads that you're looking at here performed at some big theaters. And,
I mean, that's a good point. Is actually, I think, you know, that makes me realize, and I have been realizing that it's okay to recycle things a lot more now because there is so much to consume and it is so temporary. It's almost like if you can recycle some things that are worth recycling, you might as well do it because there's people that haven't heard your record or your music, but they've seen Weird at Night, and you know, vice versa. Like there's people I've met who know about vaudeville or know that I'm a producer, but they don't know that I've like scored films, and they're like, "What? You did film scores?" And it's because I'm not constantly like, because I don't want to constantly be shouting about things, but at the same time, it would probably behoove me as an artist to, from time to time, be like, "Hey, you know, here's this thing that I'm really proud of, and I think it's cool," and you know, share it with someone, because someone who met me at a later season of my life might be like, "Oh, wow, that's pretty cool," and they go and watch the movie, and they
Totally.
you know, so
Yeah, just like they do re-showings of Psycho and stuff. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be the most famous,
Exactly.
nationally nostalgic thing that we all re-exhibit for our
Exactly.
own reimagination?
Exactly.
If we're smaller communities than that,
Right.
If
right.
just all the
Yeah.
fans of Bradley Laina can be like, "This is so cool! It's like our cult film,"
Right.
Yeah.
Because we know you made the music for it, and we're a fan of your
and
work.
that's a good point. Like, for instance, if Psycho was never rerun on TV or anything like that, I would have never seen it, because
go
I,
away.
you know, we weren't old enough to be in the theater to see Psycho. So if it was just a one play thing, and we never, you know, that's a classic film.
Yeah, it'd be like, I mean, I think it's a family plot or a family affair, the last Hitchcock film. Nobody talks about that film.
No.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, things
very
can be
problematic
forgotten
film.
even by
Yeah.
extremely prolific,
But
famous
you
people.
wouldn't see that. Yeah, exactly. And Psycho could have been like that without that sort of. And I think that there's a way of commodifying the culture by only picking a certain amount of things
Yeah.
for everyone. That's almost supposed to tell everyone there's only a certain amount of great things.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's an infinite amount of great things.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers just bought everything. That's
Yeah.
all they did. It's a cruel joke, and it has huge consequences, but all it means is they bought everything.
Right. It just means they
Yeah.
have enough money to buy it.
We're still making
Yeah.
new cool shit. It doesn't change that.
Well, and yeah, nostalgia culture has gotten like kind of overbearing almost, where it's like we have nostalgia for something that happened 1 minute ago now. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, okay, like, yeah, but new things are cool too, and new ideas are cool too, and we don't have to, you know, they've always remade a lot of films. I mean, I know that's not a new phenomenon or anything, but it's like,
Well, I think a healthy re-examining of history makes sense.
yes, healthy,
But trying to reproduce history,
Yeah.
which is what remakes are doing,
yeah.
it's just a scientific impossible act.
Well, and especially if
So,
it's like,
you know, you can the new Star Wars movies, they're massively successful for different reasons than the first one was
Right.
massively successful. So it's like they get to pretend we have a genie in a bottle, and whenever we want it to happen, we can make it happen. But there's real things that made it happen that are not the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking money trick, man.
It
Fuck
is.
money.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's.
Sorry,
I don't want to
that's-
get on the
yeah,
train,
you,
but yeah, it's
money. Yeah.
it really that made me think like I think that's the beauty and the benefit of kind of what you guys do, and what we're all trying to do in our own way, is like the community-based artist building, community-based, you know, show and artist exhibition. Because when it comes down to it, like if I had enough money, I could make this fucking surge protector the next big pop star.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And it would be the greatest thing, and people would eat it up because I have enough money to make them believe that. And but that's kind of the beauty of in some ways the world we live in at this point with the internet and social media and so many other things, is it's still quality of product and quality of art, and you have to have something to say. But you can break through that noise if you keep at it, and if it basically it just comes down to enough people being like, yeah, that's fucking cool, I like that, or that
And that's
that resonates.
contagious.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know, we see it
contagious.
in our own city. You know, we talked about that. There's sort of like the fans of this, and if it gets into the right room, it seems to spread.
and it keeps growing, and it's beautiful when it happens sort of organically, you know. And there's always a push. I mean, it would be naive to say that there at some point somebody doesn't see a few dollar signs and like help push it, because that's just the way of the world. But it's beautiful that it can grow in a much more organic way these days. I think through just, you know, a natural growing of that energy, rather than I'm gonna take the surge protector and make them huge and then just pour all the money into it.
Totally, and I think so. two more things I wanted to ask you guys about. That's a perfect lead into one of them.
Surge
and the other
protector.
is very like, let's talk about what you do and the space and what's valuable here. Like a little bit more sales pitch to anybody listening.
Yeah.
But the one before that's a little bit more of a doozy. And what I mean is like, we were just talking about, things are like this because of like this. And it's dawning on me that like, how can we say that as like three white people here without actually talking about how racist everything is? And I think that part of that opening up, as you're accurately describing, is just that more people of color are allowed to be a part of the lexicon, and they're changing it for the better because it's just more human and more stories getting told, and tons of stories that weren't getting told. And I think not to put words in anybody else's mouth, but in my own way, I feel like that it's important to do some of that getting out of the way, some of the shining light on other things. But I just wanted to ask about that, just about how y'all are feeling as just like white people in the music industry. And like as three white, I feel like we should talk about that.
Sure.
It's an opportunity to.
How do I feel as a white person in the music?
Yeah, we can only talk about it from our own experience.
Right.
So,
I mean, I guess I would just say that I think that my story strikes me a lot differently than it used to. And my participation in the music industry strikes me a lot different than it used to. I don't fault anybody for seeing what I do and just feeling like, hey, there's enough of that already, And I think that happens sometimes, and I don't take that personally. And I think part of me stepping back from the music business in general, the business, is to like understand where I belong in it. Because I think that what's been great in Seattle is we've seen, people take it seriously that artists of color need to be amplified and artists of color need to be supported. And it's great that we're seeing more of that. But what I'm most encouraged by is seeing more artists of color that I'm becoming aware of personally, like really being put out there by people I know, instead of just by KEXP or the Stranger or whatever.
Yeah.
I think those outlets are great places and they have a lot of value. But I also think that they're pretty slow on the draw a lot of the time, and I think that they're honestly covering just a fraction of what's actually going on at any point, no matter what it is they're talking about. And I don't even think that's their fault entirely. But I do think
the lateness, not saying this from me, not adding this to what you're saying. I think the lateness is indicative of the lack of genuineness.
Yeah.
And that seems to be lost in their messaging. Seems to be like, we also want to be on the positive side of the new civil rights movement, not we were part of the problem too, and we're trying to do better. Doesn't seem to be what those brands want to say, because it carries with it that first negative.
Yeah.
But also it's a positive that more of those people of color are being featured, and I think it will just continue to show an example that should be continuous. I think that's good.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, any white artist, especially any white artist that makes any kind of Americana or any kind of American-rooted music, owes such a huge debt to artists of color and Aboriginal artists and all of that, because all of these things that we have tried to hone are all descended from not us, And so we have gleaned the influence, gleaned the marketable value of those things, and taken them for ourselves in many ways. And that may not have been the conscious intention of everyone who did it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just, it is what it is. And the longer that people try to fight that, the more pronounced it becomes, the bigger it becomes, and the more we talk about it constantly, as we should, because I think there just has to be a point where people like me understand that people like me have been disproportionately advantaged, even though my personal experience tells me like I haven't had a great ride or whatever, like, yes, even worse then. You know what I mean? Like, so it's probably where I should leave it, I think. But it's just understanding that my place in the industry isn't the place in the industry. It's a part of the industry, and whatever part of that it's going to be going forward, I can't be too worried about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way in a lot of ways. It's the idea that like the industry shouldn't just be representative of one person or one type of person or one genre. It should be wide open, and really, you know, I think it would benefit a lot of people to be a little bit more open-minded about music. I like to personally sort of pride myself on being fairly wide open, but what this year has made me realize is that I wasn't wide open enough. You know, it's like I grew up really enjoying a huge portion of Black and African American artists. I love the blues. I went deep into the blues when I discovered, you know, bands in high school, and I realized that, like, for instance, Led Zeppelin wouldn't be Led Zeppelin without Howlin' Wolf and all these people, and the Stones wouldn't be the Stones without, you know, Muddy
and it's
Waters
fun
and all these
going
people.
to the accurate history points of that music.
Yeah, and you follow it back, and you're like, damn, like that's where Keith Richards or whoever got that lick from. That's not his. That's, you know, that's Muddy's. That's and so
Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck's, and so, you know, I've always tried to be open to that, but I don't know if everyone is. I think a lot of people just sort of assume that like the Black Keys are like the epitome of the blues. And no offense to the Black Keys, they're incredible, such an incredible band, and they honor the history of it so much. So I don't think what they're doing is wrong, but I think a lot of people just absorb that and they just think, well, that's what it is, and they don't go into that history. They don't honor that legacy.
Yeah, that history isn't told. I think that's a big problem in the industry. That the real story isn't told or advertised, which continues to be a problem.
Exactly.
And this new wave of sort of civil rights movement advertising, when I see it, as a white person, when I see it coming from a white place, it's disappointing to me. It feels like people want to say, they want to jump on the victory side of it.
Yeah,
and
they want to.
We're still on the losing side of the fight that we need to be fighting as white people, and so it's frustrating people like acting like they're on the other side of that line.
And I do, and you know, I don't know. It's a slippery slope, but personally, what I've been exploring and trying to figure out is like, as a white male, which is literally the problem of everything. I feel like my personal role is to work on not being the problem, and also let other people who are in my same sort of state of being, let them know if they are being the problem, or let them know how to not be the problem, or, you know, and that's been hard because I have family, I have family friends and all kinds of people who they're amazing people. They're so kind and generous, but I think that they are also they live in a bubble and they don't want anything outside of that bubble. And it's hard to have those talks of like, no, kind of, do you realize that thing that you own is like super racist? Do you realize that, you know, that perspective that you have is incredibly segregationist or so many things.
It's so hard to do that educating.
It is because I've lost relationships. I have family that doesn't talk to me anymore because I've you know, put that line out, and it's difficult. But I think that for me that's been my role, because I've been to protests and you know, tried to advocate and help and donate and share as much as possible, but I also feel like it's not necessarily my place to it's my place to support and to be an ally in those situations, but I have to help on you know, the side that I feel like I can most benefit on is they'll listen to me because I'm a white male.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, white person to white person, yeah.
There's a small chance that maybe they will. And, you know, you can't change everybody's mind.
No, and it's
that's the
sad
thing, is like some people are just fucked up.
I think it's indicative of the hate that racism caused, that people choose not to talk to each other because somebody has revealed to them that they're racist. I think it's just a sad reveal of that person.
Hosting Weird at Night has been such a trial for me on that front, because I straight up told John, like back in July, like, I'm super afraid of saying the wrong thing and getting canceled or whatever. And we had a serious talk about that. And John was like, what do you think you'd have to say to get canceled?
Yeah.
And we really had to talk about that. And that talk was really good, because it's like, I'm not going to say any of those things.
No, yeah.
You know,
but it
so-
also, I mean, this year, a lot of these things have made me realize how unintentional and indoctrinated some of these things are. Like,
Absolutely.
It's
You know
like
what I mean?
not
Like-
talking when you know you're not there yet, kind of thing. And so you're like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what quite to say yet,
It's-
because I'm still working on myself, or I'm still thinking
Well,
this thing through, or
I've been
it's
realizing
not
a
always
lot
an
of-
ability to articulate it.
Yeah, and I've been realizing a lot of, there's a lot of us that walk around go, I'm not racist. What are you kidding me? I'm not racist. But then you do or say something that you realize all of a sudden it's not overtly racist, but you're like, man, that is a result of years of conditioning that like make me act that way in this situation or whatever it is. And it's not, for me personally, it's never, I try to come from a very human place. Everyone's humans, and even if they're not, they're animals or they're plants, and I love them all, and it's cool. but it's, sometimes you're doing or saying things that you don't realize because you don't know that person's perspective or where they're coming from. And I guess that's the good thing that's happened, is now it feels like there's a lot more safe ground for anyone to say, hey, I find that really offensive what you just said. And all it takes, that's the funny thing, is people get so, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not sexist. All you got to do is accept that you've offended that person.
I apologize, I offended you.
Yeah, and just be like, man, I'm sorry. I'm gonna work on that, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
It's the fear
like,
that's going to be an indictment of character. I think that makes people go,
yes.
Well, and
Like,
especially
I get that
on
with misgendering. People are like, well, I misgender someone, then they get so mad at me. And I'm like, well, maybe they got misgendered 18 times in a row, and you're number 19. And here you are, cis person who thinks they know better, misgendering somebody, and then being an asshole about
Right,
it for the
right.
19th time in this person's day.
yeah.
When, yes, they were being rude to you, but you knew why they were being rude to you. So who's wrong here?
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Well, and I just think in the broader context, Brad, like what you said, is that sometimes, I host a live show, and we've talked about some really big stuff on the show at times. And I think that fear that you just expressed is something that I felt, that's probably what I'm really saying, is that, like, I'm afraid that I'm just ignorant about something that I don't want people to see me being ignorant about. Right? Ultimately, that's really what it is. And then people go, that's ignorant. And you go, it is? And they go, yeah, here's why. And then you can go, oh, thank you.
Right.
yeah. It's
And that's it. Like,
Yeah, a little
If people would
space
just
and
take-
humility around the fact that we're all pretty ignorant of a lot of other
yeah,
things.
end of conversation,
Yeah, if
right?
people would just tell, like, if all of humanity, especially Americans, would take fucking responsibility for their own ignorance.
But there was like
and the world. Where
but-
this is
Yeah,
global.
there was
in
this
the world.
brilliant post that a friend of mine put up, Emily from Emily Podest, put up years ago, and it said something that I'm repeating it right now, and it just was like, look, if you are afraid to speak honestly about how you feel about anything, what you're really afraid of is being criticized. And you're just afraid of being criticized. But once the criticism is over, what's happened here?
Yeah, you've learned something.
You've learned something, for Christ's sake. But
Yeah.
we are so, like, socially dishonest in the sense that we want everybody to just think good things of us,
Yeah.
that we're afraid to even say basic things that are true.
I think art is a great correspondence of this idea that when we make art, we constantly have to make bad. You make it bad. You make it missed it, and then so it's a constant. And even when I want the criticism. Pat, how is you could change the audio this way? I'm like, yes, improve. I think that's a good lesson to reflect back to other things. It's like it's totally fine to get criticized and then to come back and try to do the next take better. how good things get made in situations like this with cameras and microphones, you know?
Yeah.
When I
This is
posted,
take 17.
yeah. Well, I
We've
posted
done this
about
for 19 hours.
I posted about failure on Facebook. Like, don't be afraid to try and fail. And I use the word fail for a very specific reason. Is that we've taken that word and perverted it into like, you're a failure. You failed. Wow, failure. That's what losers do, right? Scientists fail all the time. They look for failure. They crave failure. Give me the failure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I tried this experiment and it failed. But from that experiment, I learned a bunch of shit about what makes stuff fail. And hopefully my next experiment will be a little more successful.
But I feel like that's the great shame of the situation we've been in politically and otherwise, you know, because the conservative right, I personally, I know some conservative right people who are not terrible people. They are just terribly indoctrinated with a horribly toxic ideology that they are unaware of, and they refuse to accept anything otherwise.
Well,
You know,
I
and
think
it's just
when you talked about the bubble thing, I think I understand that so well, because I think a lot of times when you're trying to have maybe this transformative talk with somebody, they're like, hey, I'm not willing to get out of the bubble of my beliefs, right? Like, I don't even want to navigate from this for even a second. So I have no idea what their hang up is or what their intentions are. And it's easy to go like, you're a fucking hateful racist piece of shit. But the truth is like probably like more like you're lazy, you're intellectually, you're willing to accept an intellectual fallacy as a point of logic that explains your life somehow.
Yeah, you're scared.
And you're scared. And
I think this is how I often come at just regular Western thinking with Zen thinking. It's like, well, you guys are all still worried about death, so how are we even getting anywhere?
right.
Right. So it's just
Yeah,
a big,
right.
when you attach any part of your life to a simple thing, anything Trump says or else, you're never going to get real knowledge out of that. Even if you said, I'm only going to listen to this scientific study from this university, it's like, well, they compare, like, you should compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay, so let me ask final question.
Last question.
Bradley, Stranger Studios, what's going on here? What's the space, the available, like how many channels? Say things I can't say to professionals.
We got all the channels. We got all the things.
There's
Come on
microphones,
down.
There's foam on the walls.
There's foam.
They must be serious.
There's lights. There's So
There's cords.
there's cords.
I've confirmed that.
So Stranger Studio, basically we're a 32 channel multi-track recording studio. The whole thing we say is it's a modern studio with vintage vibe, which I kind of like to stand by. And we kind of where we've placed ourselves thus far is we're kind of the next tier of studio. There's like, because nowadays you can make amazing recordings in your basement, in your room, in your garage, in your trailer, wherever you are. And, there's that. And then there's like Robert Lang or the legendary studios in town, Electro Kitty, Litho, where my band's recorded before. And they're incredible. And they have like 2-inch tape and they have a beautiful API board or a Neve. And it's like, you can't beat that stuff. It's incredible. But what we offer is a place where you can spread out, get amazing sound. Like, I'm really proud of our drum sounds. We get incredible drum sounds out of here. It's a bigger space, so you can really spread out and kind of make a meal out of it. And you can stay longer, get more time for less. And what you're going to end up with, ideally, is a record or a product or a song or a video that is of the caliber that will come out of someplace like Avast or Robert Lang or the bigger studios, but you're going to get it at much less cost, and you're going to be able to spend more time getting it right. So, that's where we're at. Is we're a hybrid studio. We're digital and analog together. We have a whole boutique rack of preamps, and we're building out our gear. So it's a place that I like to offer to a wide range of artists, everybody from up and coming to established artists. And we've had everyone from, people that I've played shows with who are just starting and they want to make a record, to, like I was saying, we've had, Soundgarden, members of REM that have come and tracked stuff here. So it offers a really wide range for a much more affordable price, and ideally, if you like the stuff that I've done, or some of the other producers that work out of here, Jack Endino works out of here on occasion, who he did some of the first Nirvana and Soundgarden records, and a couple other folks. So yeah, I mean, basically, come on in and check it out. It's
awesome. How do
cool.
people contact you for that? Is there a website, email address?
Yeah, just I'd say, we're on Insta, we're on Facebook. Just look up Strange Earth Studio. There's also Strange Earth Records, which is our record label, which has hosted some of Van Conner's projects, also his brother Gary Lee, and a few other amazing artists. Medicine Head, who's a band that I play with that you guys featured on Weird at Night, and a couple others. Woodshed, which is a great hard metal band. They're awesome.
People love Woodshed.
Woodshed's, they're badasses. I
mean, they're like metal classics in Seattle.
Oh yeah, they're awesome, incredible players. So they're on the label, and
that's cool.
Yeah, we're trying to expand and build it out. So I just I'd say look us up, and we're doing right now we're doing distanced and mass sessions. We're keeping it all very safe. And we're keeping it limited at this time, but when things hopefully open up again, we'll be doing more full band sessions. So, yeah, come on down.
Y'all, check out Stranger Studio on social media, and if you want to make something here, message him.
As a musician who's been wandering around all day, I have to say I'm impressed. I think it's a fucking cool setup, and I would love to record here myself. So
let's do it.
Highly recommended. Yes, let's do it.
Patrick, how can people watch Weird at Night?
Well, you can go to...
also acknowledging you might be watching Weird at Night.
You might be watching Weird at Night right now. Yeah, go to twitch.tv/weirdатnight or weirdatnight.com. You can check us out live on Tuesdays and Saturdays at midnight. Our pre-show chat starts at 11:30. Weird at Night is essentially an art share show where people in the community send stuff in. We share it. We have special musical performances. We have sketch comedy. So it's a big, absurd, surreal, strange, dada kind of thing. And yeah, essentially we just want real people who want to share real shit. And we come at it from the artist's point of view. I think that's the most important thing. So in music, there's a lot of people in the music industry, but there's only so many musicians, and that's the people we care about. So we come at it from the artist's point of view always.
Awesome. Hey, this has been Bradley Laina and Patrick Galactic on Blazinspace. You're in love with all three of us by now. Have a good night.
What fire springs forth? What bile does bubble? The black moon swings in the skies, does travel. By violent turns, we kill the light. Through the shadows, madness beckons. We're at night.
Freed from the shackles of time and space, we present Weird at Night!
Dear Stu, Austria, I have been watching your work as a Dick Shoe privateer with keen interest. As someone with their toe on the pulse of this leather-suede reality, I really couldn't just remain a spectator. Allow me to introduce myself. I am your aluminum foil. Your radio waves have no effect on me, so I will keep my name anonymous for now. I am what you fear most, a barefooted messiah, ready to spread the truth of the natural way. I bound this shoe like they bind our feet. And does it disturb you? The natural way will spring up. And when it does, you will not hear it, because you'll be barefoot. And the sound of bare feet is the sound of one hand clapping. Ha! 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 Ha!
Tell me one thing, and I'll tell you 10 more. Meet me in darkness, and I'll call you from the door. I see you walking in the harvest light, walking that line. But don't you fear, don't you worry, there is no rush, there is no hurry. I'm writing poetry now, and that feels good. But you're still fucking nerds, and that is, as it always has been, and should. So now we present, with 4 pounds of sugar, the host with the interplanetary boast, Patrick Galactic!
Well, my people, how are we? It's your boy, it's Patrick Galactic in the house. It's Weird at Night, we're live, you're in the chat, and I'm in the screen. And you can't dig me out no matter how hard you try, so please don't scratch too hard, okay? I've gotten too many reports of people trying to find me in there, and just don't do it. Well, my stars and garters, looks like Steve Germany has a nemesis in our world, in the real world. Aside from Blazinspace, who will no doubt want to assassinate Steve at some future date for the hell and chaos Steve has brought into Blazin's life. But, oh no. Hold on. Oh no. Whoops. Okay, let's start over. It's Patrick Galactic. Welcome to Weird at Night. Steve Germany has a brand new nemesis in the real world. It's hard to say what that could be related to, but that sandal doesn't look like it's doing too well. So that was certainly interesting. The pink cloud certainly sounded like that was some prose by a cloud. That's certainly the truth. Thank you, Bradley Laina. Thank you, Stranger Studios. Thank you, Blazinspace, for the amazing interview. I was happy to be a part of that. It was really cool to be able to talk about this stuff, and I'm really glad that we were able to connect and share this with everybody. Did you all enjoy it? And if so, do you have any questions for me? If you do, you can just at me. I'll try to answer everything as we go. But if I don't, kind of around the 30-minute mark, we will address everything for sure. That's the straight dope. So how could you breathe in space in air with no oxygen? How could you breathe in space with no oxygen or air? Listen, fucker, I can tell you're gonna be a problem tonight. So why don't you just take a toke and relax, okay? This is Weird at Night, you silly bastards. We're a community, we're not really a show. A lot of talented people from the community work to put on the sketchiest of comedy, the artiest of art shares, stunning musical performances, and we also talk about the surreality of our non-reality quite a bit as well. So don't fear the darkness, darling. You're in the right place. We're weird. It's night. Let's do it. Respect for each other and the flow of the show is essential. Distractors and spammers will be ejected. Don't mess with the mod of Justice, Alex F and V. I think you all know that by now. And even if you're new, Alex F and V. I mean, it should be clear. However, if you follow the channel, I will stop everything and sing you a little tune. And if you subscribe, I will go get my guitar. I'll stop everything. I will write you a 20-second automatic song and sing it to everybody. So now with that out of the way, I hope you all found something fun to do for Christmas, whether you celebrated or not. I watched 3 movies yesterday with my roomie and his brother. We saw Pop Star with Andy Samberg, which was hilarious. We also, what else did we watch? Something I had seen before. I didn't write down what I watched and now I can't remember. Anyway, okay. We're going to come back to that one this Tuesday. It's going to be one of those days. This Tuesday, we have a triple feature. Now, we've had 2 back-to-back double features, okay? And you survived them, and we commend you. Your badge is in the mail, as they say. But God damn it, we just have so much to share. And this Tuesday, we send 2020 to hell with Ron and Nancy Reagan with a full stop, no bullshit, triple feature spectacular. At 10 p.m., we're going to unveil the Gravity remix featuring live performances from Jimmy Jackson and myself, Patrick Galactic, as Blazinspace recontextualizes and reimagines the 2013 blockbuster starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. Here's what that looks like. All right, well, that's what Gravity is. And then, so that's at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, okay? Then at 11 p.m., we're going to have Select Level as our guest on Astral Media Labs, The Lab, AV podcast, long-form interview format featuring Seattle Legends of Groove Select Level. Now, who are Select Level? Well, because you asked. All right, so that's select level. So you asked who they were, and I showed you. I mean, that's what we do here. That's what we do in the Wannaverse. Then, so that at 10 you have the Gravity remix, Jimmy Jackson, myself, and Blazinspace. At 11 you have the Lab with select level, exclusive live performances with a long form interview, and then at midnight. We'll return to the Astral Castle for Weird at Night and another voyage into high lo-fi madness, including the exclusive premiere of Nina Wazankari's song and video Confession. Oh, you're not familiar? Need to see and hear just a little so you know why it's a big deal? Well, here's why. All right, so I don't know what else I can say, but this Tuesday, our triple feature is going to be off the hook. So make sure you tune in at 10 p.m. Pacific, no later. Our pre-show chat will start at 9:30 p.m. So make sure you're here and get yourself a little loose in the chat before we start, and then join us for an amazing ride. I've seen everything you're gonna see, and I promise you won't regret it. So join us this Tuesday. Anyway, we have so much more to talk about, but before we move on, I just have to say this. I saw this today, and a celebrity that I care about died, and I just want to say that Brody Lee, who wrestles for All Elite Wrestling, 41 years old, somebody that I saw every week and really, really appreciated, died tragically and unexpectedly today of some kind of lung ailment that wasn't related to COVID. It hurts anytime someone you feel a connection to is lost, no matter how far away that connection may be. But really, for a guy who's 41 years old to just disappear so suddenly, it was just jarring and shocking, and I had to mention it. It's a tragedy for pro wrestling and for his fans, for his friends, and for his family. Thank you, Brody, and may your rest in eternity be everlasting. So coming up, Blazinspace is living in the shadow of failure in Noirrland. Can their experience be resuscitated? Plus, we have our homie in Schwa in the house with an amazing cover song. We check in with Doc Blammer about a new life thing and way more. But first, come on, Terry's talking.
Came a long way from that Skyway Park, getting an idea where the light may start. Wishing my peers had a bright lane, wonder what the night brings when you gotta fight that urge. Wipe me down, don't slide the words. Frightening sound with the might of a curse, there's no sight in the purge. Cannot clown, we alright with the worst, not a type or a first. Hammer rounds, nails in the coffin, cuff, I'm liable to burst. Charge a fine if it hurt, y'all signifying a person. Work decides what you're worth. Caution, the tide isn't turning, fires are burning, incentivizing the church. Fires are reserving, eyes are returning back to the lies of the earth. I decided I'm perfect, confined to the surface, tied to a birth. Eye of the serpent, finding assurance, all while purpose. Hide from the search, strike from a perch like a bird feeling nervous. Bite not a word from a person that's worthless. Dive in the courage, stir it like worthy. Catch stupid air, real hair run Bergie.
Well, damn. You always know that Terry Monstrosity is going to bring it each and every time, but that was some fire. And that is not the last you're going to see of Terry Monstrosity. We have a music video of his to show that he sent me this week. So he actually sent me two. We're going to play another one of them on Tuesday. So that's another reason to tune in, is more Terry Monstrosity, which I think we could all use in our lives. I want to just mention again, and as a thank you, but also just to mention, Nina Wazankari wrote a blog entry in her diary about joining the Weird at Night cult. And I think it's a fun read. And for anybody who's a member of this community, this is about us. So go check it out. We're dropping a link in the chat right now. Thank you, Nina. It means a lot, and it's beautifully written. So please do check that out. It was very, very flattering. So it's time to check in with Blazinspace, and after the Queen smacked the shit out of Blazin with their words, I can only imagine what will happen next.
But no, Manny, but no, I don't know. I wanted to ask. We wanted to meow. Ask. No, not ask. We wanted to meow. Ask.
Look, I can see this nonsensical foolishness is getting us nowhere. So, how about you do me a favor? Take that crystal ball and just throw it on the damn ground, because I'm tired of this. I was like, do not contact me, the counselor, or any of us anymore. Not even the damn servants, because I'm really just over the bullshit. I was just like, do you think I got time? Bitch, do you know how long it took me to even find this damn crown? I was in the middle of getting my motherfucking hair done. We were about to shake our ass to the motherfucking thunderclap. This is a goddamn celebration.
You know, without Christmas, we're nothing. But, and this one's for the young...
well put.
Yeah. For the younger generation... You know, Christmas could be going out of business, so get it while you can.
Yeah.
I hear they've made it illegal some places. But
yes,
this
I
one,
heard of that on Fox News.
Yeah. And I've heard it from many sources indeed, but some of which shall be nameless because...
Play the damn organ! Just do it!
Here we go. I will say one of the things for the younger generation. Anybody under 60? Or 55 maybe.
Perhaps I need to come find you. Remind you who I am.
This was a familiar room. All white walls and a small window. The doctors visit daily to keep me sedated. I should have kept my saturated secrets to myself. Now how am I going to get back to the palace? Their Majesty was right. It was treasonous to contact the palace in black and white. When hidden behind the forgetful juice I downed on the daily at Louis's pub, I really did remember what happened on Christmas Eve. And it was Louis who turned me into the loony bit in the first place. He was bitter. He was bitter I had dodged the zombie war to clown around. I was stuck in that box until my release to this office. I don't think they thought I would find as much art as I did. But as DeQueen pointed out, I'm an outsider. The art finds me. I prefer not to run with the crowd. So why worry about being different? This feeling could be utilized positively by helping people who feel they are outsiders. We are not alone. But I haven't told you what happened that fateful Christmas Eve yet, have I? Louis had a rockin' band that night. The incredible Cracked Sabbath Christmas Spectacular.
Now look, Ron, you're playing an instrument that has been trying to die for a lot longer than you have.
I'm giving it a run for its money. They're going to bury me in it or burn me. I think that's the latest fad. Cremation. Yeah, it's the latest thing. It's cheap. It's recyclable. It's politically correct. So, you know. Fire is the watchword. Fire, smoking fire. It's been a smoky summer.
See? Is that you?
Voice of Christmas past is coming to haunt me.
It was like a dream. It was like we were all living in a dream. One moment I'm sitting across from a famous DJ, and the next I'm at Louis', where suddenly I've always been on Christmas. The further I go into the dream and the more punch I drank, I started to blush, and all of a sudden everyone in the bar is looking at me, and Noirrland PD rushes the place. I almost escaped with my lucky hat, but Louis gave me to the diffusers that night. They desaturated my memory, and I forgot, willingly, y'all. It was nice to be like everyone else. It was nice to have a fiction, to have a fate. It's painful knowing some formerly fictional shoe dick is out there living my pointless existence. So after the Queen reminded me who I was, a perfect humbling gift for a holiday of cold winds slapping me in the face, ice leaking into my shoes, and the glare of blinking lights, must be Christmas. Ho ho fucking ho.
I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus under the Christmas tree. Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. Oh Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. How much I really love you. Christmas tree.
Crack Sabbath was playing at Louis' just like on that fateful night, and I took the stage. I smashed that fucking crystal ball. I'm going to tell everyone at this bar the truth I thought as I started losing consciousness. I had cut myself pretty badly on the crystal ball. My secrets spilled without me even having to utter a word. You see, people aren't used to seeing red blood in Noirrland. And that's how I ended up back in this holding cell. Desaturated. But now I know what I want. I want to be different, just like everybody else. I hope Stardust is watering my plants while I'm trapped here. Meanwhile, at the palace.
Cause I know you hella fake. See, he begging me for dates when he only want the cake. Got me raising all the stakes when I know you gonna skate. But you see me earthquake, now you talking give and take. But I pull a knee break, cause I know you hella fake. Ho, get your booty about the seat, now move your feet. I got the tree rolling in the backseat, 20 gals deep. We bout the chief, cuties in the weed. Two things that don't never seem to pass me. Get your booty about the seat, come move your feet. I got the tree rolling in the backseat, 20 gals deep. We bout the chief, cuties in the weed. Two things that don't never seem to pass me. Boo, what you waiting for? Don't wanna see you glistening, I wanna see you pour. Can you make it thunderclap on the dance floor? Ask me, do you like it, baby? For sure. I said, boo, what you waiting for? Don't wanna see you glistening, I wanna see you pour. Can you make it thunderclap on the dance floor? Ask me, do you like it, baby? For sure. Get Get your booty up out the seat, come move your feet. I got the tree rolling in the backseat, 20 girls deep. We bout the chief, cuties in the weed. Two things that don't never seem to pass me.
Weirded Night is presented by Reality is a conspiracy because it's not what I've been telling myself it is my entire life without research. The truth is a lie, and I can't prove it. Believe me anyway. Dawn's Long Gone Lawns. Dawn takes acid and plays with knives on your lawn. Goddess in the grass, man. Use promo code 129-77777-999-125. Something will happen. You can pay Dawn $10 or just $10 worth of acid. No talking. Keep your kids and pets inside. We've lost some real good ones that way. Please keep the door closed. And then, Shitty's Pizza. The hospital is next door. If you don't know why, just have a slice. Use promo code Why God Do We Suffer. You get a free depubing. It's normally $4.99. We hire the hairiest to give you the best value for your dollar. On the corner of 9th and Nocturnal Drive, just past the memory of your first fully charged smartphone. And then in this very turbulent and special time, it's really important to remember the important things. Just take a moment here to remember with me, okay? Nope. This, yeah, that. Remember the good times. Thank you, bloodstool.com, for so many good times. Hey, we're here. We're at the halfway point. It's Weirded Night, baby, and we are running right through, steamrolling through. Blazinspace seemed to have some kind of really big existential realization about their history in Noirrland and the desaturating. Now, is this like a hero's journey where we level up? Is there going to be montages? I don't know. I don't know if Blazinspace knows. I'm going through the chat here. We're going to look at some of the questions that came in throughout the occasion. Tim Basaraba, rumor has it you were going to join Vaudeville Etiquette as their washboard player. I hope so. The wolf scene in Popstar, Blazinspace referenced. That movie is hilarious. It's really, really funny. Naomi, Fiomi, I don't think she's here right now, so I'll wait to play her song till I know she's here. Let's see. What else? We got... Blazinspace says, meanwhile, at the Palace could be a new Queen shirt. I'm down. But I also think a Blazinspace shirt that says, I want to be different just like everyone else. I really like that idea as well. If you have ideas for cool merch for the shop, don't be shy. Share them in the chat. Hit me up through a whisper or join our Discord. I do either I go way too far talking about Discord or I don't talk about it enough. But one or the other, join our Discord. It's a lot of fun. We are kind of still figuring it out, but it's a great way to stay in touch and kind of keep up on what's going on. So with all that said, let's head over to the Shop of Wine. We made a mug to celebrate tonight's occasion. Holy crap, I just saw a whole bunch of stuff happen over to the right there. Okay, we made a pretty cool mug to celebrate this momentous double feature occasion. I like this design a lot. It says Strange Earth on one side, says Weirded Night on the other, Art is the Antidote and Attack with Love in the middle. We also have hats, we have shirts, we have more new merch coming, but we have a really, really great artist studio that I hope you'll check out. In the artist studio, everything in there is from people who've been featured on the show or people in our community who have merch. And so if you buy something there, 100% of those proceeds go directly to those artists. So please do check that out. And while you're checking it out, use promo code Strange Earth, get 10% off store-wide until Saturday, January 2nd. I can't believe we're talking about January, but we are, and maybe that's for the best. Now, Time to go back to show mode here. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So, all right, we still have a lot of cool shit to explore together, and now seems like the right time to get to it. We have a super cool community cover song to share from our friend Schwaberries in the chat there. I got a couple album recs for you, and we're gonna do some goddamn automatic writing because it's good for you. But first, let me do some here. Oop. All right. So, remember this? Remember when about episode 21 or so, we started taking a minute to slow down and kind of check in? Well, one member of the Waniverse has taken this kind of thing to a whole new level. I recently had the chance to chat with my friend, Blake Madden, Hotel's front person and the head behind a new mutual aid community initiative. Check it out. We are talking to a denizen of the Waniverse, Doc Blammer, who isn't just Doc Blammer. That is not his full-time occupation. Blake Madden is leading a new venture, a new ideal. Blake, why don't you tell us about it?
Of all the harebrained schemes I've had in my lifetime, this one maybe make the most sense and actually not be harebrained. Called Soup is Love, and basically I just make a fuck ton of soup every week, and we send it out through various organizations to mainly unhoused people, but you know, also anyone who needs it or wants it. It's mutual aid soup. We just make it, and if whoever needs it can have it.
So what spawned this?
The two things that I'd say were really just changed my whole life around this year were, you know, COVID, what some might call the George Floyd revolution or rebellion, or the Black Lives Matter movement, and how they coincided with each other and amplified each other. Just basically how the people we are supposed to depend on for leadership and care completely abandoned us in all ways, made me, among others, realize that we need to take care of each other. I'm a person of privilege, so I have that ability. So that's what I decided to start doing. It wasn't immediate. I live a block from what used to be the CHOP. One of the cool things I was inspired by was the mutual aid that I saw there. And some people literally making soup, you know, just giving it out. And I was like, oh, I know how to do that. I actually have that ability. I've made large vats of soup before. I made it for my wedding. I cooked soup for my own wedding, soup for like 100 or so people. Used to do dinner parties. My buddy Mike Long and I, we cook, you know, soup for 20, 30 people at a time. So I was like, okay, we can figure this out. But it wasn't until after that stuff started to die down mostly, and you know what was left, and the weather's getting colder, and I'm like, okay, I don't see these people anymore. Maybe I need to be one of the people who does it. But we went out Cal Anderson on one Saturday with one pot of soup, and it had about 50 cups worth. So we had a pot of soup and like a little catering chafing dish, and put it in there, and you know, with the little sterno, and heated that up in the little table, and passed that out to whoever came by, and we got rid of all of it in about 2 hours, about 50 cups worth. And we're like, okay, this is obviously a good thing. This needs to happen more. And from then on, we've just been growing it organically, little by little.
Watching this happen, you're very inspired by it. You're somebody who loves soup, has a passion for soup. You made a record about soup.
Making a record about soup.
You're making a record. This is
the key part of it. Is like, I fucking love soup, and I don't know if you can do this if you don't like soup as much as I like soup. You know, I've been making soup for years and being into soup for a long time.
All right. Well, that's Doc Blammer giving into the love and showing us all what you can do when you stop overthinking and just try to help. It's inspiring to me as somebody who hasn't left my house very much in a long time. Blake Madden doing really amazing things with Soup is Love. Follow them on Instagram to kind of stay in touch with what they're doing. If you want to find out more about how to help, that's where to go for now. But they're out there doing the work every single day, and we really do appreciate it. Thank you, Blake. And we will be hearing more about their venture and this endeavor. We'll be hearing more about it.
Hey everyone, I wanted to share something with everyone out there that might be going through a rough moment due to the unrest surrounding the police brutality and the murder of George Floyd and just everything else that's kind of difficult about being an American today. I woke up the other morning after staying up all night watching the riots in Minneapolis and was really inspired when my favorite local DJ, John Richards, played this song right before he signed off the air, and it just really affected me. And I think it's a message that we could all kind of take from a little bit right now, and so I just want to share with all of you. So the song's called Trouble.
Oh, here comes trouble. Put your helmet on, we'll be heading for a fall. Yeah, the whole thing's gonna blow. And the devil's got my number. It's long overdue, he'll be coming looking soon. Yeah, the whole thing's gonna blow. Oh, here comes trouble. These people talk too much, need to shut them up. Yeah, I'd rather be alone. Can you feel that rumble? All the sparring time, it's been running out. It's the ending of the show. But I know now, yeah, I know now. I know now, yeah, I know now. And everything's gonna be okay. I keep on telling myself, don't worry, be happy. You keep on telling yourself, everything's gonna be okay. I keep on telling myself, don't worry, be happy. You keep on telling yourself. Oh, I changed my number, wore disguises, went undercover just to hide away from you. Oh, my girls came calling, making noises about a promise I had broken. Oh, I'm gonna be lonely soon. Oh, here comes trouble. Put your helmet on, we're heading for a fall. Yeah, the whole thing's gonna blow. The devil's got my number. It's long overdue, he'll come looking soon. Yeah, the whole thing's gonna blow. But everything's gonna be okay.
I could take a pill and be somebody else, I'd take it. There's always an after party after all the other parties. I get drunk on bleach because you like me when I'm wasted. It's all for your entertainment, hoping you can tell I'm trying so hard until I break. Dripping in conditioner, wishing I was close. Are you looking at me, or are you seeing what you wanna see? You're seeing what you wanna see. It's just the drugs again. Were you looking for me, or am I?
All right, thank you, Schwa, and that was really cool. That was really cool. That was a TV on the radio cover. I can't remember the name of the song right now, but it was beautiful. And we want to encourage you all, if you're a musician in the community, if you want to play a cover, if you want to play something on the show, if you want to be in a bit on the show, just let us know. Let's try and make it happen, because we try and get people involved who want to be. Because quite honestly, the collaborations we've had here have been magical. So thank you, Schwa. A note about Schwa. For quite a while, I had this vintage Fender Twin amp, and I had to sell it at some point. And Schwa had been borrowing it from me. And this Schwa borrowing this amp is essentially how I got to know Schwa. But by the time I had to sell it, the only person I really wanted to sell it to was Schwa. And Schwa bought it from me. And when I see you play live again, I'm going to see you playing on that fucking amp, and it's going to feel like everything is right again. So good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being here. We got, as I promised, another video here from Terry Monstrosity. And this video is called Not So Bad. It's definitely not so bad.
Believe it, don't repeat it, don't do nothing. This is the last one right here. Sorry, but this is the last one.
I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving.
This was called Not So Bad.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, keep pursuing.
Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yeah, do it. Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yeah, do it. Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Lost for a minute, but then I reinvented how I'm looking down the line like the spine of a vintage book. The craze for Popeyes got me spinach hooked. Amazed at how time can diminish good. I figured 8 was mighty fine like a knitted throw. Different zones impose elbows when it's difficult. Muy difficile, I'm a beast, lo siento. Don't gotta depend, no, the chose copy tempo. To get close, wrong pose, change tempo. Swell lymph nodes, this go far beyond a kid's code. The world beyond your piss pole, misconstrued info. Listen to the gift, bro, interludes are simple. And I'll never use a rental when it come to first impressions. Cause if you lead in with lies, then the truth is not impressive. Will not coincide with messages that your past suggested. Emergency like Wyclef and 9/11s. Emerging as a mic fiend, finding leverage. Concerning as a fight scene in Armageddon. Where we headed, not good. Who you in bed with? I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing. I swear I was lost, but it's not so bad. I'ma do my best to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. I'm gonna keep I've been moving. Yeah, what we doing? Yeah, keep pursuing. Yeah, keep pursuing.
All right, just some more fire from Terry Monstrosity. That's an incredible track. Not So Bad is the name of that one. Make sure you click on that YouTube link. Go watch it on YouTube, but subscribe to Terry's channel. He's trying to drive up his viewers over there. So make sure you do that because that's how we can support Terry for supporting us, if you know what I mean. Also, make sure you buy that track. We shared the Bandcamp link in there as well. So go check out all the Bandcamp links for all the artists we share, because honestly, it's the best way to show your support. So we're here. We're winding down. We're getting to the end of the road, and real quick, I'm gonna make some album recs to you because why not? First one is Bjork. The album's Utopia. This album came out a few years ago. And I really like it. It's a little more understated than a lot of Bjork stuff, a little more lo-fi, and I just find this experiment a worthy one and interesting and a great way to feature her a little differently. But it's, you know, it's just kind of a mood. The whole album's a mood, but really influenced my thinking when I was making my last EP. Terry Monstrosity, Not for Play. This came out earlier this year. Do I need to sell it to you? Really? Terry Monstrosity. Artists of the highest caliber, Not for Play. It's epic. Do not sleep on Terry Monstrosity. We won't allow you to. You know that. And then lastly, featured in our last episode, Wind Burial. We Used to Be Hunters. This is their last record. It came out, I believe, in 2016 or 15. Produced by Randall Dunn. This is just a band at the height of their creative powers. Wind Burial is one of my very favorites from this area or any area. But make sure you check out We Used to Be Hunters. I actually have this on vinyl. I throw it in from time to time, and I always enjoy it. So, friends, we're coming to the end of the line here. And I want to thank you all for being a part of this double feature. I want to remind you all that Tuesday night is a triple feature. The pre-chat is going to start at 9:30 p.m. The show itself will start at 10, and that is the Gravity remix, so don't be late or you will miss it. 11 p.m., The Lab with Astro Media Lab and Select Level, who we played earlier in the show. Insanely talented group of musicians. You don't want to miss it. Andy Sells is hilarious, all on his own, sometimes unintentionally. But really one of the sweetest, funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life. Noel Brass Jr., fantastic guy to listen to and get his thoughts on his art. Don't miss that. And then at midnight, we have episode 69 of Weird at Night with the premiere of Nina Wazankari's new song and video Confessions. So that's what that's going to be. But I want to leave on the right note. Don't forget to join our Discord and join us in the chat, the voice chat after the show. I'll be there at about, 1:10 for about a half hour or an hour or so. I always say a half hour. I'm always there for much longer. Well, let's leave with an auto write, shall we? Now, I'm going to count down from 10, and as I do, try to clear your mind. And then when I finish the count, I'm going to say go. Start writing in the chat and just keep writing. Don't censor yourself. Don't spell correct or anything. When I say stop after about a minute, we all hit return or enter, and then we all read it, and then we all depart. Okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, stop. Everybody hit enter. All right, I'm going to start reading them. Mine says, it's more than a dose of adrenaline, it's a move for the play. Taco tuna fish entrails sound glorious, but not for food, for decorations. It's a real beauty to find myself gleaning so much lint from the mice. Ash Maddie, fields of Nephilim are the first words that popped into my mind, which is like a wicker basket filled with greasy tuna, if you want to know the truth. Matt and I are both writing about tuna. Thank you, Ash Maddie. Alex F&V, Runaway Train was my favorite song for most of my life. I decided this when I was 6 years old. Then I met an octopus named George, and he told me about life and all the things that make beetles green. You ever notice how these green beetles look like a fucking party? Anyway, my favorite song now is Fast Car. Dartone III. The MTs were dark and cold. He felt his skin start to peel and his eyes freeze. Strawberries. Find Igor. TC Blackout. If I was a walrus, I wouldn't lay eggs. Maybe I'd go to a fancy restaurant instead and only eat bread. That would be one type of life. Maybe a walrus life. Guilty Art Music. Nina. Bleach stains are not white. They are yellow, and it makes no sense. Why bleach? Why bleach? Pointless chemical. We've all been duped. I'm switching to lavender soap for a stress-free experience. Aw, sleep. It's overrated. Agreed. Blazinspace. You don't have to say goodbye, you're already gone, I cried. I bawled my eyes out during WW84 for this Hill of Beans scene where Diana's love says goodbye to her again after dying in World War I, but he sacrifices himself again to save the Earth. I'm not a man, I'm gender fluid, and I wept. WW84, bitch. Tim Basaraba. I am ugly, I do ugly things. I am beautiful, I do beautiful things. I am mediocre, I do not do mediocre things. Things is code for holding my breath. Try it now for 60 seconds. Cowards. Schwa's still figuring out the auto right, and that's okay. But what you all should do, if you haven't already, is join our Discord. Come hang out for a few minutes in the voice chat. With Discord, the thing to understand is you can drop in and out whenever you want. Nobody has any expectations of you. So if you're there, cool. If you're not, that's fine. But we'd love to have you. So anyway, we're about to do that now. I'm Patrick Galactic. You're Weird at Night, and I want to see you Tuesday. Bring a friend, okay? Let's have our biggest crowd ever. Can we do that? For Tuesday, 9:30, pre-show chat, 10 p.m., Gravity. Till then, love ya.
Freed from the shackles of time and space, we present Weird at Night! Freed from the shackles of time and space, we present Weird